Hey everybody, this is Stephen Gulick. Today I'm going to have a quick overview of Shaolia and a look at the components. So the box art has a very nice slipcover over here. You can see that they went all out with the art on this. The art's kind of cartoony, but it's also very detailed. I like it a lot. Now, as far as the game components go, this is the Deluxe edition of Shaolia Warring States. It is definitely very nice. They didn't skimp on anything. The cards have linen finish. The layout's great. The boards are all nice and thick. Every component that you get here is nice little solid wooden pieces, mostly custom stuff too. Like these, I've never seen these before anyway. Tiny little broken hearts for wound markers. You got lock tokens and bonus health over here. About the only standard thing with this game are these gems. These are, super common. You see them in all kinds of different games, but they're nice too. In addition to all that stuff, you got the metal money. These actually kind of remind me of the coins you get as a kid. They were actually chocolate. They were, kind of like cool at the time, but now you look at them and you just see like kind of like disappointing chocolate. But these are actually really nice. Like they have a heavy weight to them, nice sound when you move them around, and there's a whole lot of them too. I mean, there's like probably 20 bucks worth of metal coins in this. You can see like pretty decent. Like you're not going to run low on money or on anything else really. The cards in this game are also extremely plentiful. You have all these over here. There's more over here. You're not going to use them all in every scenario. There's a setup for 7 different scenarios. Each one are going to have a very specific set of cards you're going to mix together to create a buy deck for the second level cards. The first level cards, I think generally speaking, you're going to use all of them. All you really do to set up, aside from building the deck, is put this thing here, take 3 dice, and get however much money the scenario says you get. Also, you may be getting some of these cards. These are little one-time effect cards that can be used for money, or you can just use the specific action on the card, unless some of them have a little place to put a die or a power that's going to be active throughout the game. And if you choose to use one of those, you would build it on the board for free, and it would just take up one of your spots and give you a permanent power or a permanent ability that you could, put any die here and get 1 culture, so you get a 1 point. They start out really useful, and then by the end of the game you're probably going to want to get rid of it because a lot of these other buildings are far more powerful. A couple more component things to point out. The dice in this are really cool. They're a little bit smaller than usual. Not in a bad way, they're just slightly small, and they have little constellations on them. Like they don't mean anything, they're just kind of decorative, but they look cool. Gold on black, they stand out, and they roll well. They're very regular. And finally, we have the first player marker, which this thing definitely stands out. You're going to know who the first player is, and it's just going to go back and forth or rotate depending on the number of players. But it's nicely detailed, it's big, and it's a flag, but it's pretty cool for a flag. So that pretty much covers all the components aside from the rule book. The rule book is very well laid out. You have your basic setup is very small. It just kind of refers you over here to the back scenario, and then a few things that are pretty much just put this stuff out. It's all very quick. Then you have the actual scenarios back here that tell you what cards you're going to use to specifically set up your deck, which of the merchant tiles you're going to add, how much stuff you get at the beginning of the game. And I'm set up here for the Blue Diamond as the Kickstarter exclusive version, but there's also a whole bunch of others. There's 7 total. We have 1 versus 1, we have 1 versus 1 versus 1, we have 2 versus 1, and 4 player. So lots of different ways to play this. But what are you actually doing? So the idea of this game is that you're building a kingdom, and you have 2 ways to victory. You can either become the most cultured by moving your culture marker all the way up here to the 18, or you can be a militaristic, smite your enemies, burn everything down kind of guy, and just raid and raid and raid until you've whittled the other person's palace or the other player's palaces down to 0 health. You're going to start with 12, and as you build buildings, they'll go out here on your board, or not buildings, these are mostly technology, some of them are people, but I'm just going to call them all buildings for now. So you can attack these, and you can just take them out for, on another player's board. Or you can go after their palace. If they don't have any defenses, there are walls and things you can build to defend your kingdom from other people's attacks. And there's also a lot of stuff that'll like give you money, or you'll mine gems, or it'll turn money into, it'll turn gems into things. I think you can use gems to attack. You can do all sorts of things. There are a whole lot of cards in this game. And basically you're going to try to create a synergy out of your cards to make one of those things, either the culture or the war element, more efficient than anyone else, before anyone else, so that you can annihilate them, or you can just be superior. You are going to have 3 phases. In the first phase, you're going to be buying stuff. In the second phase, you're going to be building stuff. And in the third phase, you're going to be activating the stuff on your tableau by rolling your dice and trying to get the number on the right spot so you can do whatever it is that your board is built to do. So in the first round, you'll be able to buy one of 5 different things. You can spend $1 to buy one of these cards. They're your standard, cheap, not very efficient, but they do the job kind of cards. Then you have the level 2 cards that are going to be a little bit more expensive, but they have much better powers. In addition to spending money on these, when you build them, you're going to have to keep in mind that you might need like for instance, this one requires a school or a shrine to be able to build the shrine. Those are going to be level 1 cards, and the same level 2 card. If you already had a shrine built, then you wouldn't have to have a school again. You just keep going with the shrines. But there are only 4 of those in the game, so it's really kind of a tightrope to keep those things around without them cluttering up your board. You start off with a buy phase where you're going to buy several different things. You can buy a level 1 card for $1. You can buy level 2 cards for 3 level 1 cards. Or you can change these out by spending $1 to wipe the board, get 3 new cards. You can also spend 1 gem to get 2 of these guys. And what they do is they make you able to add and subtract pips from your dice. So you roll 5, you need a 4, you spend one of those, now you have a 4. That is everything that you can buy in the buy phase. In the second phase, what you're going to do is build the stuff in your hand. So if you said, this is my hand, and you have this one you can build for $1, you've got this one you can build for $1, this one requires a gem. Well, I don't have a gem yet, so does that one. So let's say that at the end of this phase, what I've got left is $3 and these 2 cards that I can build. So I can build that and that for $2. And if I had another $3, I could also discard one of these. You just buy more land. I do not have that, so I would pass, the other person would take their turn, and then it would come back to me, and I would activate. So I'd roll these dice, and I would see whether or not I can actually put them out anywhere. So I got a 5, so I can deal 1 damage with that. I don't have a 6, so all I can do is, since I don't have any of these little worker guys, all I can do is put them in one of these spaces down here. So this one would give me 2 officers, this would give me 2 gold, or I could get 2 gold and 2 gold. You can put any die there, it doesn't really matter. But that's not really like a great way to get gold, or, it's a pretty decent way to get officers unless you have a mine, because if you can produce a whole lot of gems, buying officers with gems is preferable, because these are really, they're very limited. You're not going to be able to buy a whole lot of a 4th die on your turn, because unless you have a couple of banks, money's just very limited in this game. So what you're trying to do is you're either going to be building up a military and destroying everybody around you, blowing everything up, trying to do 12 damage to the other person's palace, blasting through their walls. The defenses are going to build up here. Or you're going to try to get your culture track all the way from 1 to 18. And that can be slow going, it's just points, and other players are obviously going to try to blow up your buildings that are going to give you a lot of points. You're going to have to defend yourself, and it's pretty good to have some offense too, even if you're trying to go for culture, because if the other player is building up a big engine to attack you, or even if they're peaceful and they're just building a better tableau over there, you're going to kind of have to take them out, because, you want to win, right? This is not a peaceful game. This is Shaolia warring states. You get something that adds health to your buildings, you put one of those on it, you get something that makes you able to increase your attack. You put one of these tokens on it, the tokens are used up after a turn. Well, these are. The market is really the main thing that it's a little bit more complex, because first you have to get a market tile and build it like this. Then you have to activate it with the right number, pretend that's a 6, and then you can spend these monies to do the action a certain number of times. So you got one market action, all you can do is one of these things, but if you did this one, you could do it 3 times. And they do all kinds of different things. You can buy and sell minerals. You can buy level 1 and 2 cards from the discard pile. This one gives you one of these attack tokens that makes you more powerful when your building does attack next. This is a life token, so you can heal your buildings. And if you, like, say for instance, this has 2 hits on it. If I bought one of those and put it on there, it now has 3 hits. It doesn't have a max of what's printed on it. But if I already had some damage on it, I could, instead of putting one of those, I can just take off a damage. Now, each one of these games scenarios has a different setup for these things too. This one makes you able to just pay money and do direct damage, and this one makes you able to buy blockage tokens, which are these things right here, and if you put those on somebody's building, then they can't use them next turn. So those are pretty handy too, but all that costs a lot of money, so you can kind of approach this game 3 different ways. You can either try to get a ton of money and then just spend that money to have other people do this stuff for you to get you to the goal. Or you can build your own tableau and try to, like, you know, save every dollar you can and use your stuff as efficiently as possible. But you're still going to need a lot of money. Just you can try to get money by going to these things, or you can build a lot of stuff out here that makes you able to have a much larger income. Like when you place a die, you can, you know, instead of getting 2, you get 3, or you can get a windfall. You know, there's all kinds of different little technologies that you can incorporate into that. And there's stuff like this where this one is just, you know, if it was here and I activated this one, then I would get to do a free trade action. So that can be handy. But then again, that actual space does nothing. It's really difficult in this game to tell what is going to be the best way to build everything out, because there's actually a lot of different options. You really kind of need to play it a lot to get a strategy down to where you know how to mitigate the various randomnesses that come up, because there are specific cards in the deck and you know that they're in there and you can get them. It's just, do you want to spend the kind of money you need to spend to actually get the specific thing that you're trying to get? Or do you just roll with it and try to be like, you know, okay, well, I'm going to get a bunch of, oh no, wait, there's a war elephant over there. I'm going to get that thing and I'm going to carpet bomb all my opponents until they're all dead. You know, it can go either way. And that is Shaolia Warring States. If you like this video, give me a like, subscribe. There will be plenty more where this came from. And in the meantime, never surrender.